What's up, guys? Got another Wildstar boss kill video for you today. This time it is of the System Daemons. This is our very first kill, and as of the recording of this video, there's only been one other guild to kill it. Just us and someone else, and that's it. We've killed it 2 more times since this video was recorded, but I figured you guys want to see the world first kill just because it was pretty exciting and pretty hectic, especially towards the end. But anyway, what Spyth is doing right here is he is in the downstairs control group, and what he does is he helps bring the mobs to Freya so they can be more easily tanked and stack them up. As simple as that was, where he just pulled the mob to Freya, that really helped. Before we were doing that, things are pretty hectic downstairs, so that's definitely a little tip that will go a long way. Now, the main goal here is to keep these ads super stacked up so that when the Mark robots spawn, they can easily be cleaved down with all the other mobs. And having them stacked up like that makes things super easy, but that really relies on the control group to get those snares off, those interrupts off, and keep them right there where they spawn. So you'll see more of that later. But anyway, my job here is I have a super simple job, and that is I follow the boss and interrupt it. I do that along with Stricken, Celix, and Shun. We have 4 warriors that are in charge of interrupting the boss just because the interrupt cooldowns are very low. We are all going tier 8 kick, so our kick will do 2 interrupt armor, and then our grapple will do another one. And all we do is interrupt the boss. We interrupt a spell called Power Surge. Now, this Power Surge does a ton of damage to the raid, and if the full cast goes off, it will build up firewall percentage. So, as simple as our job may be, it is super important that we don't fuck it up. And while we're interrupting this Power Surge, we get a debuff that makes us take more damage. So basically, I think it stacks up to 100% more. It's either 50 or 100% more damage taken that just from kicking the boss. So we have to be super careful not to get hit by telegraphs, not to mess up Purge. And anyway, back to Spyth. Now this right here, this is a different phase. The downstairs phases also have big ads that can spawn. This robot guy is pretty much a DPS race just to kill him as fast as you can. There's also another mob that spawns that is a giant 4-legged spider-looking thing, which has a little bit more complex. It's like a little bit more complex. It can disorient you. You have to interrupt it. But this guy, for the most part, is just a complete DPS race. Back to my point of view, again, just interrupting the boss. That's it. As simple as this part may look, like with Purge right there, that Purge mechanic, it looks really easy. But if people mess up, it can get out of control really quickly. There's a reason why it took 41 days for us to kill it, just because this is one of those fights where when everything is done right, it looks easy. It's kind of like playing the guitar. Like when you watch somebody that's really good at playing the guitar, it looks really easy, but it's not in reality. So anyway, what I did right there is I am going down to clear my debuff. You know how I mentioned the debuff that I get from interrupting the boss that makes me take like 100% more damage? The reason I'm going downstairs to clear that debuff is because this next phase gets really crazy, and there's a high likelihood that I actually take damage, and if I get hit by a Purge with that debuff, it can almost one-shot me. So better safe than sorry. Now here you got to be pretty careful because we're getting ready to push the boss, but we don't want to push the boss too quickly because these have to be killed in synchronization. If one robot is lower than the other robot, they will do a thing called System Restore, which will spam a shitload of telegraphs everywhere and can really hurt. It equalizes the health. It makes you lose DPS. So these bosses have to be killed in pretty much synchronization. I think you can get within 5%. Like you can be within 5%, but if it gets anywhere farther than 5%, it will do a System Restore. So this pillar phase right here, you got to avoid the giant spinny pillars, you got to not stand in the squares, and you have to deal with the Purge effectively. Now this is where Purge gets really crazy, just because people are already dodging lasers, already moving out of the squares, and they're trying to kill the pillars and kill the robot. So this is where things mess up most of the time. So what we do is if you get the Purge, you stand still. Unless you're on top of another person with Purge, then you don't move. It's much better if other people move away from you rather than you try to move away from other people and they have no idea where you're moving. It's just better if people stand still. So anyway, first pillar phase, not too bad. The next pillar phase is where things get a little bit crazy. My job is still the same. I still just interrupt the boss constantly. Same thing with this group. They just interrupt their boss. They're getting ready to go back downstairs here in a second. Yep, there's the teleporters right there. They just opened up, and Spyth should be going down here any second. There he goes. Yep. There he goes. So now with this phase, I think this is just more ads from okay. This is the four-legged guy. So you'll notice that he'll do his Black IC. I think it's the cast is called Black IC, and they interrupt that, moo him, and there's the Mark robots that I was talking about. That's I can't see on the preview. That's Mark 1. So they're cleaving that Mark 1 down while they're killing the dog, interrupting the dog. Oh, they call it a dog. I know it's weird, but that's what they call it. So while they're killing the four-legged thing, and this is another, again, as long as these things are under control, it's not too bad. But if that Mark III robot were to have like gone past without being snared, or if it would have gotten stunned prematurely, it can get out of control pretty quick. So again, it's one of those things where it looks easy when it's done right, but Spythe is actually going to stay down right here because the next wave is going to be spawning shortly. He's going to pull his mob to Freya, and Freya picks up his mob on the other side, and they're going to control these right here. Boom, stun. See how they're nice and stacked up right there, right where the robot just spawned, right where the Mark robot just spawned. If that can happen, it's super, super easy. But if something gets messed up and the robot gets ahead of the pack, then things get really, really, really bad. So that's the key to success in the downstairs phase is having good slingers. Our slingers did a really good job this pull. I think we're still at 0% firewall, which is pretty good. So back to my point of view, again, same stuff. Interrupt power surge, don't stand in stuff. I think I hope he does another purge. Now the purge isn't too crazy during this phase, but it's the pillar phases where the purge gets pretty insane. But if you cast a purge with everyone upstairs, you'll see how crazy it can get just with how many circles. No, he's not going to. But yeah, so my point of view is pretty bland this fight. I am not gonna lie. Yep. Just interrupting the boss. Okay, so here we go. This is a tank mechanic. He's gonna disconnect the tank down and do a memory wipe, which wipes the threat, and another tank from downstairs needs to come upstairs. I forgot to explain that mechanic, but basically he will randomly teleport a tank, one of the tanks that's upstairs, downstairs, and the upstairs tank needs to run up and taunt the boss, or it will kill the DPS upstairs. I am not super familiar on the timings on that and how that works. I'm honestly not looking forward to learning how to tank this fight. Seems like it's kind of hard to tank. But yeah, so anyway, we are getting ready to go into the next phase here pretty soon. Man, I wish my point of view was more exciting. You guys kind of get the idea. It's just don't stand in red shit, interrupt the boss. Okay, here we go. So we're getting ready to transition to the next phase where things get exciting. I wipe my stacks because it's very likely that I will be taking some damage, and if I get hit by a purge, it can be death for me. So wipe my stacks, help the help the downstairs group kill their shit. As soon as my stacks are wiped off, boom, go upstairs, and I believe I'm the next interrupt here. So yeah, boss is getting ready to transition. Again, you don't want to be ahead of the other group. We do that pretty much perfectly. The other group was ahead of us by a little bit, which is the way it should be, because we will catch up in time. We'll catch up in damage on this phase because of the way our robot moves. I think I forgot to explain how the Purge works. Purge is very relevant during these pillar phases, and the way it works is he will cast Purge on people. Those people will get red circles around their feet that will follow them, and if anyone else is hit by those red circles, then they will also get it, and it will spread from person to person to person, and it does a ton of damage, especially in this phase, because the bosses are also doing more damage, and the warriors in particular really get hurt by it because they're also interrupting the boss, and they take a ton of damage. A Purge in this phase can pretty much one-shot me. Like, if I got hit by a Purge right there with 95% health, I'd probably die. Like, no lie, it would probably kill me if I didn't have a full shield. So you gotta be really careful in these phases. These phases are especially dangerous because these pillars will blow up. You'll see when we kill this pillar right here. The pillar will blow up as soon as it dies. Now, if he does a Purge cast right when the pillar blows up and everyone is trying to run out of the explosion and they're just naturally grouped up, that's when things can get really, really scary. So this is kind of a cool little part of the fight because we actually take our robot, which was on the south side, and drag it to the north side, which is it's kind of neat. I think that's kind of a neat way to. I don't think Voodoo did it this way, but I don't think Voodoo ended up killing the last pillars. So we ended up taking our robot to this side to kill our pillar right here. So the robots switch orientations. I think that's pretty neat. So you saw right there how he disconnected our tank downstairs. that tank is going to have to run all the way across the room. Just because the robot is now on the north side, it will still disconnect our tank to the south side, so that gets a little bit hectic. He starts doing these other casts called upload and download. Download is pretty easy to deal with. Upload kind of just hits the melee. I think you have to be like just in the right distance away to not get hit by it. But this right here is the burn phase. You'll see our firewall is going to start going up here pretty soon, just because, yeah, there it goes. So our firewall starts going up, and you're wondering, why is that happening? Well, there's nobody downstairs. On this kill, we decided to go full YOLO and just let the firewall go and just burn the bosses. We've since changed that, but this kill was exciting. You'll see here in a second. It's going to go to 100, and it's going to get insane. So me and Stricken and Shun and Celix were still interrupting the bosses, still being really good about those interrupts. We have to be really, really good during this phase because it will kill people, because the ads just came up, so nobody needs to be taking any extra damage. Things are about to get crazy. These ads cannot be killed, which is probably a good thing, because you wouldn't want these ads eating your telegraphs anyway, just because you want all your telegraphs to not get target capped, and you want them to hit the boss. So here we go. People are going down like crazy. Ads are out, and we killed it. Good shit. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope this gave you a little bit of insight on how the fight works. Obviously, this isn't going to completely explain the fight. I'm sure I missed a lot, but I just want to show you guys how it worked. So yeah, that's World First System Daemons. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.
Move.
Big deeps, big deeps.
You are next. You are next.
You know. Did you got the
You are next.
Pop
You're
in.
still next. Yes! Yes, baby.
Yes, guys!
Yes!
There is a guy! Good job!
Next cast is going to be Purge. Be ready?
Well, that was really fast.
You're next. You're next.
Yep,
It's
I'm next.
blue spread.
Blue spread. Yeah, come to the east.
You're next.
Purge's is next cast. Be ready for it. I'm Hanji Zealot.
You are next.